Hey Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. I'm Jonathan, and joining me tonight is James. What's going on, James?
Not much. Just had a pretty boring week. Had a lot of days off of work, so have not really having much to do. I'm kind of bored lately, so I've just been hanging around there. Having fun. Oh, got my tax money back this week. My tax-free fund, and because of that, I bought the new Oh, this is probably too much light, but whatever. I got the new Samsung, S8 Plus. I love this phone. I really happy I got this. Pretty cool. Like the screen quality is amazing. No pun intended. Like the other day when I was hanging out with my friends and then we were doing something in a car ride, I was reading old comics on the app and they looked like right here is one comic. They look like amazing, like almost like I'm reading the
Wow.
page with the clarity on this.
Wow, that's some pretty good screen quality. Like I can even understand that. Like I can even see it like through the camera. That's
Yeah, I was
really
reading
good.
Bagley era Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's really good screen quality.
Yeah. The
So
videos is even better.
so I think James's first shout out this week is to Samsung for their new phone.
Oh, and Sprint, who I'm with. Sprint, they also get a shout out.
Is in terms of my week this week, well, finals week is coming up for school, so I'm like sort of in the end of semester rush to get everything done and make sure all my final studying is going according to plan. So, yeah, it's just the average college student life plus applying for summer jobs and stuff like that. So, I don't know why I just made that noise, but yeah, there you go. I'm weird like that. But I'm pretty sure anyone who's ever listened to this show already knew that I'm weird in at least some form. Um, but there is, we do have a little bit of a unique twist on this episode because this week we're mostly going to move away from comics. We have one comic that James is going to talk about this week, but for the majority of the program this week, we're actually going to be talking about cartoons because we are going to do episode commentaries on the Spider-Man 90s animated series Alien Costume 3-parter, which is the main Venom saga that series did. So anyone who's listening to this or watching this right now, you can go ahead and pull those episodes up, or get yourself situated as we prepare to move into those commentaries. And while you're doing that, you can always make sure that you can listen to what James is going to say, because James has a little bit of a review for us about Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider #1 that came out this week, written by Peter David and art by Mark Bagley. I don't know the rest of the creative team, but that came out this week, and
It's writer Peter David, penciler Mark Bagley, inker John Dell, color artist Jason Keefe, letterer VC's Joe Caramaginga. Sorry for mispronouncing your name. Cover artist is Bagley, John Dell, and Jason Keefe. Variant covers are like Tom Life, Tom Lyle. I was gonna say Lifo. I was gonna say Lifo. Tom Lyle, Campbell, guys like that. Uh, and editor in chief, Axel Alonso, editor Nick Lowe, that kind of stuff.
but yes, this is Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider #1, and James actually told me quite a bit about this comic before the show, and I know he has a lot to say about this comic. I did not pick this up because I'm not a Ben Reilly fan, really, and I had no interest in picking it up, but James did because he's a major Clone Saga fan. So James is going to tackle the review of Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider. So, James, tell us, how does Peter David do with evil Ben Reilly?
Well, I'm going to try to make this quick since this is a commentary episode, but I felt like being the clone guy, I should, go over this first episode and whatever, or first issue, I should say. And I should put my phone down now because now it's just updating with the NFL draft. And I know John doesn't want to keep on hearing ESPN going do 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 every 5 seconds. Yeah, so it begins with Ben on the Statue of Liberty, but it's not really the Statue of Liberty. I even put it farther away so you can still hear it. I put it near us, the Statue of Liberty, and I turned the volume down because I didn't want it to be loud for the podcast. But it's not. It's really Vegas. He's talking about how he got the new suit and how he stole it from a cosplayer he beat up and stuff in a hotel room, but he won't be eating it now. And then he's all like, and then he repeats like 90s Clone Saga-esque lines about, I have no one. I have memories of an Uncle Ben, an Aunt May, loved ones, friends, but they're not mine. I'm the clone. I'm on exile. And I'm also kind of fucked up now. Thank you, Dan Plot.
James told me about this comic before the show, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but this comic is just so hilariously off the freaking walls.
I can't believe I'm really. John probably thinks literally, if I didn't show him exact panels, John would think I was just BSing him this whole time because
I'm going to be honest with you. Like when he told me some of the dialogue, I'm like, oh, he's obviously exaggerating that. That can't be what it says. No, it actually says that. Holy crap!
So yeah, that's going on. But then he goes, I have nobody. I'm alone. I'm an exile. 90s, but it's not the 90s anymore. It's 2017. Yeah. And then he's like, you're not alone. You got me. You don't count. Why? Because I'm a figment of your imagination, man. A.k.a. 90s Scarlet Spider. And he basically, to sum up this dialogue real quickly, he brings up all clone conspiracy about Ben Reilly's point of view of it in my own words, condensing it, pretty much 3 words. Dude, fucked up. Yeah, he's all about, like, I'm not the bad guy. He's like, you're mad because your scheme that cost the deaths of thousands, was ruined by Spider-Man. Yeah, you're the bad guy. And he's all like, shut up, screw you. Screw you. He even calls out the fact, like, you didn't talk like this 20 years ago. And you're all like, shut up and fuck you and shit like that. And he's all like, quoting movies and TV shows. And then Ben Reilly, the 90s version, starts quoting Bible verses about, you are the bad guy because you broke one of the sins in the Bible. The whole thing about, being a false idol and not playing God, or else God will fuck you up. Yeah, Ben. You don't see the forest for the trees. That's what happened to you. To quote Family Guy and Brian, God is pissed. So then all of a sudden he hears a girl screaming for help, and he's like, oh, great, Saved by the Bell. Instead of me listening to actual morality from the good Ben Reilly, the one that people actually gave a shit about, you're going to go to save a woman. And acting like Kane's goddamn Scarlet Spider, he beats the guy to a bloody pulp to the point that he shoots himself in the knee and there's blood squirting all over the place, and he's making puns about it, holding the gun. And, oh yeah, I don't know if it's just because it's Bagley's art, and Bagley always wanted to complain about him because he can't draw more than 2 different versions of women, old and young. But this girl is clearly not Mary Jane. It looks like Ultimate Mary Jane. Tell me it doesn't.
It looks exactly like Ultimate Mary Jane.
I don't know if that's on purpose or it's just Bagley because he is famous for only having like a few different character models for women. Him just reusing it and hoping nobody would notice.
That girl, she looks exactly like Ultimate MJ.
Well, then she goes, "You're my hero. How can I ever repay you, Spider-Man?" And he goes, $100. Because remember what happened before, John? Remember what happened before?
James, don't you remember all those times in the 90s when Ben Reilly said, "Oh yeah, screw power and responsibility"?
I was talking about a clone conspiracy, Omega, where you have him with the whole thing with the chick.
Oh yeah, he like calls some guys to a bar so that they would try to threaten her so that he could beat them up so that he
This isn't that. Thankfully, it's actually him legitimately saving the world. But he takes $100.
What has happened to this character?
He was on his way back from Portland to New York, on that whole, who's the mystery man on the motorcycle with Peter's class ring? Who is he? 90s angst. This is him who saved kids from being hit by a car, and he said, you can repay me by teaching your kid not to run in the street. Now he's offering $100. And then he goes, he takes the money. Then she tells him, the reason why I didn't give the crooks his $100 is I just lost my job and I don't have no money.
So she gives it to some random guy?
She gives it to him, and then Ben goes, "Thanks though for giving me the money anyways. But if I see he goes, but if you stiff me and rip me off, it won't go well for you." So he's threatening to beat her up over the $500. And then the superhero guy doing this to her gives her the gun because she needs it for her protection.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point something out. We're not even.
She doesn't even know how to use a gun. You just scream for random shit. I don't use it. Here, you need it for your protection.
Ladies and
beat
gentlemen,
your ass for your money.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out we're not even halfway through this comic. James is falling into a depression because of what's happened to his favorite character.
And then Ben, meets, a chick who, was with New You, and he's wearing the Jackal suit. And this is in San Francisco. It's Rita. And she hugs him, and they set her up as the love interest, kind of. But then he takes off the mask and shows his new Kane look. He grabs her by the arm, and then he's doing all this shit to her, and it's all bad, and you realize, oh my god, did Ben kill her? Well, he doesn't, but he goes back to him in the hotel room in Vegas, because it's all a dream. And well, not really all a dream, it's just him remembering what happened with her in 25, but it's portrayed completely like Ben's even more of a supervillain than it actually was, because he's, grabbing her by the arm and being really forceful with her over everything. And then you got the Jackal, voice, where he's basically saying, dude, you're fucked up. Then Kane Ben, is the way I'm calling him now with the scars, goes to quote Kara, I'm a man! Wait, sorry, that's the wrong way up. I'm a clone! And punches him in the gut. But he goes, dude, you're fucking nuts. I'm a figment of your imagination. It doesn't hurt. So Ben says, schmucks. Then we cut to him walking around a casino where this guy is trying to beg his wife to give up gambling. So Ben Reilly overhears that her name's June and then just adopts her as his Aunt June.
Yes, and for anyone who doesn't understand how that works, because it took me 2 days to figure this out, Aunt June is supposed to be like Aunt May, but because Ben is so screwed up in the head, he went the next month, because May, June, so he went with the next month and calls her his Aunt June because Ben Reilly screwed up.
The actual dialogue is June, not May, but it's close. Oh, geez, look at her. So Ben sees the husband begging his wife to come away with him to overcome her addiction. So Ben threatens to beat the guy up for attacking his Aunt June, who the guy calls out is not a family member because they both are only children, so there's no way this could be a nephew of them. And then Ben's reply to that, deal with it. So the guy says, fucking take her, take everything, I want a divorce, bye-bye. And then Ben's like, your name wouldn't be Ben, would it? And he goes, no, well, his name's not Ben, but he said we're dead to him, so close enough. And again, I showed John the exact panel so you know.
He is not making this up, people. This is the dialogue.
Aunt June, some people really like her. How? She literally doesn't. She doesn't know that he exists, people. She is literally the whole issue just sitting at the jackpot machine, cranking the thing. And as this is going on, armed, bad guys are showing up. Both his good side and his bad side of Ben Reilly are telling him, you should fucking do something, you jackass. He says, get out of here, and they both say, screw you, and walk away. His conscience are walking away from him.
It's a bad day when your conscience is walking away from you.
And then he talks about how Aunt June is doing the smart thing by not listening to the goddamn guys. But no, because she's ignoring them, maybe they won't pay attention to him or her or Ben. Because that's how it works with armed gunmen. Of course, they notice that she's not dropping down, and neither is Ben. They go, your wallet. He says, I don't have one. Probably because he has the $100, but whatever. And then they go to her. They take her quarters, so she freaks the fuck out, which causes Ben then to freak the fuck out. And then she freaks out even more because Ben's standing on the quarters and she's just on the floor trying to grab them all. Like Tommy Lee Jones at the end of Batman Forever. Then the guys try to kill Ben Reilly, only for the bodyguard at the... Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, this is a mob, casino run by somebody with New You. He's bulletproof. He takes Ben in. Ben says it's all part of his corn and bland, and he tells the woman his name is Peter Parker. And she wants to kill him because her daughter died because of New You. Again. The end. To be continued.
So, James, what'd you think?
I like this comic because it's The Room. It is so batshit crazy and bad, it's good. Like, I read this comic, and unlike this comic where I wanted to gouge my eyeballs out, this one made me laugh hysterically. It's good. It's got Bagley's art. I love Bagley's art. I get the criticism. He only has a few character models that he draws. Seriously, that girl is clearly just married. It's not. If they made her name ended up being Mandy. If they made a joke like, "Oh, you can be my Mary Jane," they both have M's. If they would have went that far with the dialogue there, I would say, "Oh, that explains what she looks like here." But no, it was just Bagley drawing a woman who looks just like Ultimate Mary Jane. But still, I love Bagley's art, and you can't go wrong with Bagley on art, in my opinion. It's really good. And it's Peter David. People have been saying this is like Peter David trying to write, Deadpool, and you can see why, because it almost feels like a parody of Spider-Man.
It almost feels like, I haven't read this book, so again, like I really shouldn't probably be saying much, but it's just like I said this to James via text message earlier this week. I said, I feel like Peter David took this job under the impression that he was going to be writing regular Ben Reilly, and then they told him afterwards, "Oh yeah, he's nuts now," and so he's just like, "All right."
He went nuts, but more on like Clone Conspiracy, where it's super villain nuts. He went more along the lines of Deadpool, Looney Tunes, blah, 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 nuts.
So James.
If I had to give it a thumbs up for you, I'll give it a thumbs up, because the art's good, and it's just so bad it's good, in my opinion.
It is just so absolutely terrible.
And I realized this week. What decade are we in, John? Seriously. In this last few weeks, I have bought comics with a holographic cover. Eddie Brock is Venom. Ben Reilly is alive. The X-Men have too many books. Power Rangers have been rebooted. And they just announced that Roseanne is returning to Netflix. Seriously, what fucking decade are we in?
The 2010s or whatever?
I don't know, John. I'm looking at all these comics. The Return of Silver Sable. I think we're in 1996.
Well, then I'm not born yet.
And I'm 6 years old, just starting kindergarten.
All right, but that is going to do it for the comic review. Now we'll move into the commentary. So if you all, hopefully you all have your episodes pulled up. In case you don't, just hit the pause button. That's one benefit of us not broadcasting live anymore, is that you can just hit the pause button. We don't have to worry about anything, even though you probably could have hit the pause button back then, but that would have ruined the live experience. Though, why is James smirking like that?
John's like, it would have ruined the live experience. I could just go back to that episode from reading commentaries before live for Google Hangouts, and then John would be like, "Okay, pull up your episodes now. You better not be pausing, you bastards." Well, John, where'd they come from? I hate the pause button. It's the worst button ever. I just want you to watch your movie straight through. But when are you going to go bathroom? Fuck you. They don't pause it at the movie theater, do they? A play doesn't. You don't just when you're watching a play, you don't just yell pause and everybody stops what they're doing.
Unless you're David Tennant in the Jessica Jones show. But yeah, so everyone has their episodes pulled up. We got Alien Costume Part 1 here. I'll probably give a creative team as the credits roll on because, yeah, that's the great thing about doing episode commentaries. The credits roll on, so I don't have to do the creative team like that. So,
I just want to say, I picked this episode a few weeks ago when we were trying to come up with an episode like last minute, and I didn't get back to John about a classic episode. So I said, we have no time, so how about we just do another couple episodes of the 90s show? He goes, which one? I went, Venom. You know, this was not a tie-in for this, people. We didn't even cover this comic in our episode.
Okay, but I think we'll give a 10-second countdown, and then we'll just hit our play button. So I think James is ready. I hope he is.
I don't want to show my screen because I don't know what kind of trouble I get into, even though it's not clicked onto the episode yet. But I am on Hulu, and it says replay episode because I rewatched the series 1,000 times on Hulu. That and the X-Men show and anime and shit like that. That's most of what I use Hulu for. That, and it's got, the creative team and the episode numbers and blah, blah, blah. I just got to click the play button when we get ready to go.
Okay, so we'll say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and play.
Loading Marvel Comics Spider-Man, the Alien Costume, Part 1.
I was
what?
I was going to say, I love this theme song. I love it so much.
I love it too. I love the little Easter egg they do with the theme song later on in this episode. But I'll probably bring that up when we get to it. Yeah, I love this opening. I was watching some of the episodes earlier today to get into it, to get ready to watch, And my brother came and he goes, those graphics are so bad. I'm like, Raymond, in 92, or 94, whatever this episode came out, that was like groundbreaking new.
Yeah, it's like, remember back the first Spider-Man movie in 2002 was thought of as, mind-boggling.
Well, just think about it. All the CG effects they got in the show. And this is looked back at as a cheesy, low-budget, cheap-made Spider-Man cartoon. That logo, that they literally adapted to the comics that same month.
Yeah.
They're like, this logo is going to make us money.
Alien Costume Part 1, Avi Arad, Stan Lee are the story. The story's by. I missed the other writers, I'm sorry.
I think it's one of our executive producers. I don't think it was writers yet.
We got John Jameson. He's discovering.
Okay, you set up John Jameson in Spider-Man 2. Why didn't they just adapt this for Spider-Man 3? Because this is so perfect. If you're not going to do Secret Wars, this is how you do the Venom origin, in my opinion.
Yeah, so John Jameson is obviously not having a good time. I don't actually know who's voicing John Jameson in this cartoon.
I'm sure we'll see it at the end credits.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll throw it in there. But yes, John is obviously discovering the symbiote at this point. Supervising producer Bob Richardson, he was the director on all the episodes as well.
I love the design of the Bugle with this cartoon. Because what I love about it, it's like it tries to be like the anti-Batman, where Batman tried to go 40s noir. This was like, look at how futuristic it is. Jonah has 1,000 TVs in his office.
Peter Parker, voiced, of course, by Christopher Daniel Barnes. Jonah Jameson by Ed Asner. I don't know who's voicing Robbie though.
I can't remember either.
Did we ever get a name for this newscaster? I always like this newscaster. I don't actually know why, but
if they did, it's just he's so much of a background character. I don't notice it. Like people forget that Ned Leeds was in this cartoon.
He was in like one episode, and then of course we got Ross.
He's an Easter egg, I thought. I thought if you look at anytime they show a close up of the Bugle, he's always writing the front page article.
And then, of course, Kingpin and Alistair Smythe, that classic relationship.
I just love how for years I thought the Chrysler Building was actually that on the inside. There's a big, gigantic office like they show in the cartoon.
So this is the beginning of John Jameson having a little bit of trouble getting back down to Earth because of obviously what we see here with the symbiote oozing into the cockpit.
Rewatching this, it's pretty obvious why that horror movie that came out this year, Life, why people thought that might be a Venom prequel. Because it's the same thing that's happening now in this scene with the ooze just wiping out astronauts while they're trying to get back to Earth. Like, to the point that I remember during Spider-Man 3, there was, like, people who were using, like, fan edits of, like, clips from Armageddon and Deep Impact and all these space disaster movies. And they were using shots of that with Spider-Man 1 and 2 and making that as fake YouTube trailers for Spider-Man 3. And I remember that at the time because it looked like this scene.
And this is where you see Jonah like legitimately freaked out. Like we always like sometimes we think of Jonah Jameson as sort of almost a caricature, like Spider-Man, Miss Brent, but now it's like this is Father Jonah.
I always looked at Jonah as he's no different than if you have somebody who you're friends with or your boss or whatever who just likes a different sports team than you, and he takes every chance he can to make fun of your sports team. Not because he's being a dick to you, but because he doesn't like that sports team. And you have to live with it, like, oh, I like him, but I can't stand he doesn't like my team. That's the way I always kind of look at him. Oh, Jonah's cool, it's just I can't stand it, he hates Spider-Man.
I love Alistair Smythe so much. I just need to say that. I just
love how he just names off Spider-Man locations. If you go between the Daily Bugle and Queens, New York, it will hit the George Washington Bridge.
And, of course, this episode is also the debut of the Rhino in this cartoon as well.
Don't want to close my eyes. Hey, it fits. Aerosmith did the theme song. Peter's like, oh my god, that's where Gwen died if she was in this cartoon.
That's where Mary Jane's gonna get sucked into the time dilation portal.
Did we do that yet? Because the next time we do a commentary on these episodes, I demand the time dilation portal plot.
Yeah.
That whole thing, starting from the spot all the way up to her falling off the bridge, is just comedy gold.
I always remember watching this episode as a kid, and that moment where the helicopter takes off from the roof and Spider-Man swings out of the Daily Bugle window at the same time. I'm like, how does no one see that? Like,
it reminds me of that famous thing with Romita Sr., where they did a Spider-Man cover where Spider-Man's web swinging and he's taller than the Empire State Building, and fans wrote in. So in the letter pages, they actually had to say, "Well, see, true believers, he hooked onto an airplane." And that's why.
And we just had a famous Alistair Smythe quote there. I know my trajectories.
At the time when I was a kid, I loved these graphics, but now looking back at them, they were really bad.
Yeah, it's like, I look at, like, even cartoons now, like Avengers or Mightiest Heroes, and, like, say what you will about Ultimate Spider-Man, there's some good animation on that cartoon. And it's like, ooh, this stuff is, like, it's clearly 2 decades old.
I mean, it's good graphics. I mean, like, video games wouldn't have these graphics until PlayStation 1. That was, like, later on that decade. So it was kind of ahead of its time. But in the form of, like, CG that you would use on TV, it's bad.
And Eddie Brock, he's on the bridge taking pictures and somehow just manages to run out of the way of an incoming space shuttle that's, like, guaranteed.
Well, John, they gave a reasoning for that. If he died, there would be no Venom.
Okay, I can accept that.
Then again, he needs to be there so he can take the photos of Spider-Man. Coming up later on, I like how this is kind of an adaptation of issue 1, where Spider-Man saves the craft, but everybody thinks that he deliberately crashed. It's like it's still whatever in the briefcase.
I never looked at it like that, but yeah, I mean, I guess
it's one of the reasons coming up. What I'm saying when we get to the Aunt May moment, it's one of those irking moments where it's one of the reasons why I just hate Silver Age and kind of modern day May, because she kind of reverts every in and out of that phase of how dumb and gullible she is. I think it spawns from this episode when I was a kid. Like, how can you hate Spider-Man? You know?
I also love how Spider-Man just puts the tracer on him and like Rhino just doesn't feel it at all.
It's Rhino, John.
And I also love this moment where Spider-Man's like, "Oh yeah, I can see the headline now. Jameson's gonna have to eat
Spider-Man lets blonde girl's neck snap. Oh wait, wrong continuity.
Jameson's gonna have to eat every single bad headline he ever wrote about me."
That's why I think it's kind of an adaptation of issue 1, because he does the same thing too when he's coming down the room. Maybe Jonah would even hire Spider-Man to be his own personal superhero now. At least they kind of got a reasoning for why Jonah thinks Spider-Man did it, though. That the last words is, "We crashed. He was there. Stop him, Spider-Man." Where he's talking about Spider-Man stop Rhino, but Jonah, because he doesn't say that. He says stop him, Spider-Man. So Jonah, of course, jumps to Spider-Man did it.
Yeah, it's like there is actually a more legitimate reason in this show.
I think we missed a dollar, but I think Eddie Brock does say, yeah, and some Rhino guy was there too. But Jonah, he's like, oh, he's working with him.
That's actually in the next episode. Eddie actually leaves the Rhino part out of this, but something I thought we should bring up is that like this is the first time Eddie Brock gets like this cartoon. They actually build Eddie Brock up as a supporting character and give him sort of a journey to becoming Venom. And
you mean it wasn't like the comics where he was literally introduced because Michelini couldn't do his first choice of that woman?
Yeah, because like I remember, like this was my first exposure to Venom and the Venom character, and then I obviously saw Spider-Man 3, and I saw the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, and so on. And I remember reading the back issues of the comics. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm reading 300. This is the debut of Venom, and this is the first time I've seen Eddie Brock. I'm like, where's the journey? Where's his part of Peter's life? I'm like, oh
no, he's retconned it. He's retconned in with like the Sin Eater. He wasn't there originally, but he's there now.
Yeah, it's like
the power of retconning.
Yeah, but it's like the cartoon. This cartoon was the first time like Eddie Brock actually had a fully fleshed out character arc leading up to this. And
I don't like May at this moment, but this is how Parker Luck should be written. He comes home, he's celebrating the fact that he saved astronauts from fucking Apollo 13ing into the New York Harbor, and he comes home and he's all like celebrating it. And then Aunt May's like, what are you talking about? Spider-Man caused the crash and he stole something from the ship. It's the Parker Luck, That's how it should be written. He thinks he's going to be heralded as the hero, but now everybody in New York wants him dead.
It's the Spider-Man justice system. Guilty until proven innocent.
Here's the thing I don't get, and it's just like with the comics. Why doesn't Peter ever just tell Aunt May, not the secret, but he's a photographer. He was there. He just came in and said, oh, what about how I saw Spider-Man save the thing? Why doesn't he just tell Aunt May, the facts are wrong. I was there, May. I was taking photos of a Bugle. Spider-Man saved the ship. It was some other guy. You'd think Aunt May would trust Peter and his word.
Now, is this a laundry hamper that he throws the costume into, or did he just throw it in the trash?
I think it is the laundry hamper.
And then,
you cannot tell me that Sam goddamn Raimi did not watch this while they were writing Spider-Man 3 to shot.
Oh,
it's the same fucking thing.
Sam Raimi stole the entire Venom story from these 3 episodes. Like,
well, he didn't though, because all we got with the movie was little meteorite crashes and it gets on his shoe like a piece of gum. Literally, that's the way Arad and all the producers described it in leading up to the movie. It will stick to him like a piece of gum on his shoe and then expand as the movie goes on.
And this scene is obviously an homage to Amazing Spider-Man 258, which is where Peter, with the help of the Fantastic Four, separates from the symbiote the first time.
I got that comic. It's got my back issue right now. I should have pulled it out, but yeah, I got the cover that this is based on. Yeah, the issue's nothing like the cover. I was kind of disappointed when I finally got the back issue and I was reading it, expecting to see this moment, and it's not. It's just the cover.
And this scene, of course, this is iconic. This scene of him hanging upside down in the black suit.
Spider-Man 3 took this. Spectacular took this. I think the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, I think I remember reading someplace that also ripped this scene off. It's to the point that everything iconic moment people think about the black suit, they think about this cartoon compared to what it really was like in the comics.
Well, I mean, because, and I mean, I'm jumping a little bit ahead here, but this cartoon also kind of reinvented the idea of Black Suit Spider-Man, because this is the first time we actually see him as
it be evil.
Yeah, it being angry, like it darkening him.
Like in the comics, he did have a few snippy moments, but it was always because the symbiote was making him tired because it was using his body when he was sleeping. It was never because it's turning him evil. It's just he's cranky because he's exhausted because he's literally getting no sleep because of the suit.
Yeah, I love this moment where he's like, I'm attacking citizens. What am I doing? I'm defending myself. Screw these guys. Boom!
It's great because you almost like it's the black suit talking to him. Like it's like the evil devil on his shoulder, kind of.
And I also love how it's just like, at this moment, or it's not this exact moment, but it's like, hey, Spider-Man's hiding behind the fire engine. Okay, what's my brilliant idea? I'll just morph out of the suit in broad view of all these people that are watching from
It's a cartoon, you're not supposed to think about it. But here comes the line where he talks about the movie. I mean, when he talks about the theme song. It's like this next shot.
He's talking.
And then you hear the guitar riff because the guitarist who did the song was the guitarist from Aerosmith. So I love that little Easter egg they threw in this episode.
And then he's like, "No, how about just an Armani suit?"
And Felicia Hardy, who's a rich girl in this cartoon, just happens to buy when he's wearing a nice rich suit. Because she's taking the Gwen role that Spider-Man 3 would later on do with the same plot.
Yeah, Felicia Hardy, voiced by Jennifer Hale, of course. And then Flash Thompson comes up.
The irony is that Flash Thompson's in a Venom thing and he's not Agent of Venom. Now, it's like foreshadowing, but it's not.
I kind of love this scene because it's like, it's what you always wanted to see Peter say to Flash. It's just like, screw you.
It's like every Ditko issue then.
Yeah.
I love it too because I think this is the only time you ever see really Flash be a dick to Peter because they're adapting the college age. So there's every line every now and then where he'll say Pewdie Parker in this cartoon almost like, oh, of course I won't play Parker with you. Like, he's so scrawny. But he's more that kind of he's the lovable jerk, like they portray him like he is in the comics at this time would have been. Like that's the only first real time where he's a dick bullying Peter, but it's mostly because Peter's flirting with his girlfriend in front of him.
And then of course this rock that that led to the symbiote's discovery is the Promethium X. And
that Smythe mullet look that he has. I knew so many kids in the 90s that had that haircut. It is not even hilarious. Like my best friend when I was in kindergarten had that. Again, she brings it up right here. You're taking his photo. Why doesn't he just not ease her mind by going, May, I've been taking his photos. He's not as bad as Jonah is. Jonah's kind of a dick. I know he can't say dick because it's a kid's show, but you know what I mean? I get it, he's in control of the black suit, but this never came up before.
And obviously, something else of note in here is that in this show, Peter doesn't use his spider sense to pick up on his spider tracers. He exclusively uses the remote tracker.
You want to know how dumb I was as a kid? Because this is my first experience with Spider-Man, so I didn't know about the comics and the spider tracers. I literally thought that was part of the black suit, was the homing device to find the guy. Because I assumed something like that helped Spider-Man make it easier for his life to fight these villains. I figured it was an evil part of the symbiote. Because I was a stupid kid who was 4 years old when I first saw this.
I'm going to be honest, I love this ending fight scene with the Rhino. I love it so much.
It's either this one or the next episode, but that line, it's still one of my favorite Spider-Man lines. I still love to quote every once in a while. This Spider-Man plays for keeps.
And I love just how they like give him the shadow effect look. It's like, this is Black Spider-Man. Oh crap! It's about to get real.
I just love this with the black suit. Yeah, when I was a kid, I just loved this fight, how it looked. This cartoon is why I love the black suit.
This cartoon is why everyone loves the black suit, pretty much.
Well, because before this, it was just an alien obsessed with Peter Parker. This added the dimension of, no, it's fucked up. To the point that the reason why it was on Battle World is because the other symbiote said, dude, you're fucked up, and told him to get the hell off the planet.
Yeah, it's like, in the comics, the symbiote honestly isn't that interesting. It's like, oh, it uses
It
Peter's...
is now because they adapted this.
Yeah, it's like, it uses Peter's body while he sleeps. To be honest, that's not all that interesting.
Oh, and it's trying to bond with him.
Again, not all that interesting. But it's like, here it's like, oh yeah, and it makes him crazy and evil and he hurts people.
Did you ever hear the origin of how they came up with the black suit? It's because a fan drew in saying, yeah, I don't like the costume. Here's a design of it. It was the black suit, but the spider was red instead of white. And they looked at the photo, and I think they published it. It was like 80, 81, and they published it in the letters page. And they said, yeah, this looks really cool, but it doesn't really fit with Spider-Man. It makes him look too like a bad guy, and blah, blah, blah. And then when Secret Wars came along and it was a toy tie-in, and like, we can make money by making different color costumes for the superheroes too, they immediately go to, wait, we got that design for Spider-Man that everyone thought was badass where it's black with the red spider. Let's make it white so we can show that he's a good guy. And the irony that they made the black suit spider white because they wanted to show people that he was still a good guy because red made him look too evil.
So this is obviously Peter's thinking about taking out the Rhino, but he obviously
I love that Venom thing. I love that where it flashes and it's him.
And so he's just like,
to be continued.
Yeah, holy crap. Dun dun dun.
Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man.
I love this theme song. I will always love it.
Shuki Levy wrote it. It's classic Shuki Levy. Like other songs he did, like Go Go Power Rangers, but the only lyric was Go Go Power Rangers. And this song is just Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man, and his Dragon Ball Z theme song, which was just Dragon, Rock the Dragon. He doesn't like writing lyrics.
Okay, but that's Alien Costume Part 1. So if we're gonna move on to the next episode here. So we're gonna pull up Alien Costume Part 2.
Oh, wait, we stopped because mine went autoplay on it. Here, let me go back then. Here, let me pause it. There we go.
Okay, so does yours have the previously on Spider-Man?
It's at 00.00.
Okay, well, mine has previously on Spider-Man, so I hope yours does as well.
I probably shouldn't. As I click it on, it'll say that. If I'm a few seconds off on you, it's not going to be that big of a difference,
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and play.
The rock's bleeding, but it's black. But I'm just going to jump to bleeding because edgy and cool.
So obviously this is the recap of what we just watched literally a few minutes ago. I think this is a good time to just reflect on what we thought of Alien Costume Part 1 as a whole. I mean, like it is a really good start to this Alien Costume 3-part saga. I mean, it really does a good job of setting up the Venom story, what the circumstances are. how high the stakes are for Spider-Man. I think it really does a good job in that part, and it has a lot of really good animation in it as well.
That's always something that people forget about in the comics, that the black suit can do that.
Yeah, it can morph into Peter's clothes and whatever appearance he likes.
That's why I never mind when other people who were Venom, like how they had their own different looks. Like, look at Agent of Venom and Venom Space Knight, and Gargan's design of it, and Brock and Peters. So I kind of like it that you almost got maybe psychologically that's them, making it, not realizing it.
And of course, here we have the opening credits again.
Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man. I get it, so it's like a computer sounding voice, but he sounds so bored, like radioactive Spider-Man. It's like he's been in the booth all day, and they've been saying, "Okay, say Spider-Man over and over again." Oh, we need a little more. We need a little more monotone. We need a little more monotone. Spider blood, radioactive spider blood. Now, here's the one thing I wonder: is this a syndication version of the intro? Was it different when it first aired? Because this is season 1, and they got clips from season 2 and 3 and 4 in here.
I think it is the syndicated version. I think so.
It has to be, because there's episodes that haven't been done yet.
And then, of course, you also have the World Trade Center towers that are in the skyline there. So this is obviously
and they're wrongly colored. They're brown in that shot.
Yeah.
But again, it's like Korean animators and stuff like that. Not being racist, I mean, like, literally, it's just because there's different animators and they make animation mistakes all the time back in this era. And then I make a joke about not being racist, and Peter says the black Spider-Man is unbeatable.
Nice.
So Teddy Miles is in the suit now. And again, classic, this cartoon had so much censorship that regular cops are using sonic blasters.
These guys aren't even cops. They're just like random dudes who just want to take down Spider-Man. It's just because they want the $1 million reward that Jameson put on him. And I love this moment where it's coming up in a few seconds where the symbiote just randomly pushes a web literally out of Spider-Man's butt and just swings him away.
I love it how they use this though, the sonic gun, and I make fun of it, but it sets up the black suit's weakness. I love it again. He's gonna throw a rod right at these guys. Censorship's like, oh, you can't, because he might impale them. So he hits the fire hydrant and they run away from the water.
But then he points out, oh yeah, if your battery packs get wet, you'll blow up. And it's like, wow, you really have changed, haven't you, Spider-Man? You did a job all right. On me. Sure, Peter, that doesn't sound wrong at all.
Love it. I love how Jonah's like, oh, you're trying to change your look to disguise yourself better. He's coming right to you.
It's good to know that Jonah's smart enough to press the panic button. Jeez, he's got a freaking army of cops there.
Well, he's the mayor in New York. Oh, wait, wrong continuity again. Sorry, John.
Man, what's happening with me? I just basically threatened to
murder my boss in front of a couple of cops.
Man, maybe I should get myself checked out. Really, Peter?
I love it too. Well, the Fantastic Four cartoon rights are with syndication, so we can't really use them right now. So let's use Kurt Connors, which fits. And again, Spider-Man 3 clearly looked at some of these moments and said, how do we do Venom and do the moments that the fans would want to see, but then still fuck it up somehow?
Wait a minute,
That
Kingpin.
is completely out of character. This is the same guy who later on in the whole Spot thing says there's no profit made in my unknown annihilation when the whole planet could have been sucked up by the portal device. But yet here he's like he just found out that this rock can literally blow up the planet. He's like, I only deal with the best. You're a crime boss. You're not going to make money off a planet that's dead, including yourself, you idiot. But then again, this is the guy who doesn't freak out the fact that Spider-Man's willing to make a deal with him in goddamn issue 25, even though, Spider-Man tried to beat his ass, ironically enough, in the black suit and Back in Black.
I love how Connor's just like, it's got cell structure. It's.
Well, this cartoon did that a lot, where it's like, we can't show the action, so let's overdo the science. I just love this scene with the two of them. Because it's a cool way of showing it that the symbiote is addicted to the cell structure and the whole it's bonding and stuff like that.
It's a symbiote.
Now here's weird. He calls it symbiote, but yet a whole generation calls it symbiote.
Yeah, it's tomato pretty much. It's just like, who cares?
I need it. I just love that line.
I love it too how he literally goes from freaking out to being like, I need it. It's like, they were always talking about in Spider-Man 3 how they viewed the symbiote as kind of like alcohol or drug addiction, and it's like, that's almost how it's portrayed here.
It is. I love it here how Jonah, after he finds out the truth, it's like he's in the hospital with his son. His son is coming out of critical condition. Spider-Man didn't do it. Rhino did it. Also, he goes, give me 1 second, John. Gets in the car. Fucking Brock better be at the office when I get there. Fucking Brock better be there.
Aw, Jonah, that hurts. That's hurtful.
Again, the whole part of Eddie Brock in the comics is that he got the bad lead. It wasn't that he to become famous to who was the Cine or was the wrong person. He did it because he got the wrong lead from somebody. But starting here is what begins the whole Eddie Brock being, a shit reporter who was like making up stories and shit like that.
I still maintain this is a better backstory.
No, I love this cartoon, Eddie Brock. He is Eddie Brock. The only change I wish I would have had, and again, it's just the psyche of my mind because I don't even know why, because even when I was a kid I thought this, he has red hair here. But I don't know if it's just because Eddie Brock, everything I knew about him later on, whenever I think about it, even in this cartoon, I see him as a blonde.
I love how Eddie Brock can't get into his own apartment, but Spider-Man just goes in through the window.
Well, because he got evicted.
That's an interesting place to leave your, photo, film, or whatever in the shower head.
But I love it how Spider-Man makes a smell joke, too, in it.
That is the line I always associate with Shocker. This is why they call me the Shocker. Boom.
Sparkle, sparkle.
But I haven't had much use for reason lately. I really love Shocker in this cartoon where he's legit just a straight up thug. There is nothing to it.
Again, it's a case of the cartoon doing better with him than the comics. Even Spectacular did better with him by actually making him a person that we knew about earlier in the season, so we actually had a reasoning to hate him. Remember, this is Shocker in the comics who will murder people but wants you to go out and vote. And no, I will. It's been almost a decade since that comic, and I will still not let them live that down. That a guy who has no rights to vote because he was a criminal, wanted people to go out there to vote for the election.
Smythe!
Because
Smythe! Smythe, when we last met, I thought you quit working for the Kingpin. I did, but my current employer is also your enemy. That's from later in the series, but it's still amazing.
Yeah, it's with the cartoon doing something better than the comics actually did. Because Smythe in the comics was always like a 2D villain, and this is like making him almost like he was the ongoing villain of the cartoon.
Yeah, that's a weird animation shot where it's like where Shocker blasts him and it looks like Spider-Man's about to jump, but then he runs out the door. It's like
I can let that go. I can say it's a symbiote doing something. More PlayStation 1 graphics in '94. No wonder the video game though that came out for the PlayStation 1 was so great because it literally was an adaptation of the cartoon and it already had the graphics. So it fit perfectly. I just thought the way Shocker looks. Like, look at the eyes. It's like he's the whole cartoon. It's like I am so embarrassed. I have to wear this, so I'm angry.
I love how he takes the blanket with him when he kidnaps the guy. It's like, I'm going to kidnap you, but I don't want you to be cold, brother.
You know what the real reason they did that, right? Because censorship. They didn't want you to, by any chance, see the ass hanging out of the back of the hospital gown.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got Eddie Brock, who's just like, badass. Wouldn't anybody, now that they thought the Spider-Man caused all this shit, wouldn't they just immediately say something, okay, Spider-Man's doing it and making Jonah, do all this shit?
Yeah, probably, but it's a cartoon.
I love it how Eddie, you tell me that Eddie was nowhere near a TV or got the news about what was going on with John Jameson? Because he immediately jumps to Spider-Man and J. Jones and all these years have been doing it to get him. Wait, what? Not until we see me moving in slow-mo. That's something I never want to hear coming out of Spider-Man's voice again. I'll guard you in your rear.
That is
Get it, because he's Shocker.
that's another interesting thing about this cartoon is that Shocker doesn't seem to use like vibrational waves in this cartoon. It's just he's got blasters.
It's electricity.
Yeah, it's like
Which
that's
is always why I never got why they had him and Electro, because in my eyes, they were literally the same guy. And it's because of this cartoon.
well, of course they weren't going to use Electro originally, and then they in the last minute they sort of they added him into the fifth season.
Well, that was because they had a whole thing where they couldn't use any of the characters that villains that what's his name
James Cameron.
James Cameron was going to use in the his movie.
I feel like Eddie Brock has had better ideas in his life than going up.
He's literally going to attack Spider-Man, who's fighting the guy who tried to kill him.
I feel like that's a bad idea. And I just love how there just happens to be a secret passageway behind the very specific wall, or part of the wall that Shocker just blasted down.
Yeah.
You can't escape me! I will chase you to the ends of the earth!
Yeah, I think this is the one with the whole, this Spider-Man plays for keeps. Again! This guy tried to kill Brock! Brock is literally the dumb... I rewatching this now, I take back everything I said about liking Eddie Brock. This episode ruined it for me. I didn't realize how much of an idiot he was. And he was stupid, but I didn't think he was that stupid.
You're the main course. I just love Christopher Daniel Barnes in voice acting in this episode. I mean,
as the evil Spider-Man, yeah.
He just does such a good job. The check's in the mail, baby.
Yeah, he said it. For people who don't know his power and responsibility, he just said. I don't know why you would not be watching the other commentary with the episode, but still. I love it too, how he's power responsibility not going to kill him, but the symbiote does try to. Like he goes, what is this costume doing? You just fucking were with Connors earlier that day. See, it all goes back together with the guys with the guns earlier. You notice that it's only Sonics in this cartoon that disrupt Venom, not fire, because again the censorship order wouldn't let fire be a weakness because fire can burn and kill people. But you know, your ears being near a gigantic bell, that's okay. I love too how this is different than it was in the comic. How in the comic he was near death because he's a human near a gigantic bell like that ringing. And the symbiote's like, so you don't die, I will sacrifice myself. This one is kind of like the symbiote's like, bitch, please, and tries to fight him. Okay, in the comics it makes more sense because he thinks the symbiote's dead because of Sonics. In the cartoon, he literally sees it goes away and he goes, finally, it's over.
This guy in the purple mask, he almost kind of reminds me of the Rose from the comics.
Is that what he's supposed to be?
I don't think so, but he just looks like him.
But I mean, like, designed after the Rose. It would fit because it's Kingpin.
Yeah.
I love this reveal.
You never gave me an opportunity to study it. Dumbass.
That reminds me so much of Kryptonite in DC about how the radiation and how its connection to lead. It's like literally just decide, let's rip that off. Oh, I love this. There we go. Here's always the weird thing I found about this cartoon. The shadow of the outline effect in the comics was always blue. Because that's what comics uses for outline effect for black costumes and stuff like that. Like Batman and Venom. But here, they added a red outline to the Venom. It looks cool, but it's kind of weird and out of place. So.
Okay, so we've got the end credits here. But Alien Costume Part 2, again, another pretty strong episode, I'd say.
And I gotta ask you, if you were in the cartoon, Felicia Hardy, bang, yay or nay?
Well, James, here's the thing. I'm not really a fan of like looking at cartoon women that way.
It wasn't John. It was John. I was joking. John, it was a joke.
Gosh dang it!
I ripped that off from another podcast, Steven Larkson's Going in Raw Wrestling podcast, where they would say something disgusting as a joke to each other, and they go, "Will you be into that, yay or nay?"
You see, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not always good with sarcasm, so James has a tendency to like manipulate me in that way. Okay,
the best one is still that one day where you wanted me. It's back during the old show. It was like me and I don't think Thomas was gone. I think it was me, Jan, and maybe Jacob. Where the whole episode would like John just got pissed off at us because we would describe something that's happening in the comic, but then a movie event that was similar to the event in the comic, we would go off on that tangent, and then one of the other ones would go, "Oh wait, wrong continuity," and then John got like so mad because a comic review that shit took us about maybe 15 minutes max to get through the recap of. Took us like a half hour because one of us kept interrupting with. And then this happened, but oh wait, wrong continuity.
All right, but we're going to go to Alien Costume Part 3, the final episode, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
That guy has a weird face now. The more and more they keep on showing it on the previously clip. His face looks flat, and he's just staring like this at you.
Hudson River pollution.
Yeah, you can. You're Peter Parker. Just bring the costume and say, "Oh, look! I beat up Spider-Man and stole his costume. Can I collect the money? Thank you, John. Pay me."
I've developed a lot more than a backbone. You want to know how I know? 'Cause Felicia's standing right there.
Oh, yeah. I'm the dirty one with the joke about Felicia earlier.
James gave me the idea for that.
Spider-Man plays for keeps. That's one of my favorite lines from this character. There's a lot of quotable lines from this whole series, but that's always one of my favorites. This one plays for keeps, and also my other one that I told John the story a thousand times, where a girl thought I was catfishing her when I wasn't, and then the guy came online later on that night, and I go, "Oh, really? It must be me messaging you." I just realized that there's no real words on that bugle he rips up. It's like cartoon, like little like symbols, like emojis, like smiley faces and stuff like that, and arrows.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Hey, I'm Hydro-Man. Radioactive Spider-Man.
We're not monetized, so we can sing this.
Mary Jane. Aunt May and Mysterio and Doc Ock running. Harry Osborn. Him flying in a building. Hobgoblin. Look there is Scorpion. I had it actually right. Punisher. Web Cartridge. Morbius. Rocket bombs. More carrying Harry. And Venom eating me. Spider-Man. Logo.
This
is in the comics, and I love this. There was a fan film made by those same shitty people who made that goddamn Power / Rangers, but this is actually good with Eddie Brock, where you're watching it and you don't know. It's just a New York film crew and a documentary following a reporter whose name is Eddie, and the twist at the end of that video is they open up a door that he had locked, and they got into it, wondering what he said in there, and it's all these pictures of like Spider-Man must die, and they turn around and it's Venom, and he eats them and kills them, and I like that. And they should have done that with the movie, where you should have seen a scene of Eddie Brock after he bonds the symbiote, of him pumping iron. Even if he's Topher Grace, they should have had a moment like this.
I was actually just going to say that it's like, I kind of wish that we'd had a scene like this in Spider-Man 3, but obviously Topher Grace was a different kind of actor physically.
But you could have said that he started lifting weights after he bonded, or like he's so angry, he's like, fuck it, I'm going to lift weights at this gym and get angry about it. So it's in your head that this might have made him become a meathead like he was in the comics. Oh, look, he's mentioning Mary Jane.
I love this scene right here with Rhino and Shocker teaming up. Oh, sorry. They tell me the blue really brings out my eyes.
I like how they both had legitimate reason to want to kill Spider-Man because he legitimately tried to kill them. And again, I love how every video game with Rhino, that's how you beat him in the level, is you gotta make him do something stupid like that.
Mine isn't.
Computer dating.
Was that
the 90s, didn't know what to call online dating in chat rooms.
I was gonna say, like, was that a thing back in '95?
It must have been. Oh my god, could you imagine them on like Match.com? Pyramid sold. Favorite hobbies: electricity, welding, fighting Spider-Man and Robin Banks. Also likes being involved in the New York voting system. He thinks every young American should learn to vote.
You haven't.
Other hobbies: quilting and making pie.
You have. I want to see that now. The buddy sitcom Rhino and Shocker meeting on Match.com. That's the Sony spin-off movie that they should do. Screw the Venom movie. That's the movie I want to see. Do you mind if we just call you Peter Parker? What did you say?
They haven't done this yet in the Venom comic, but now that he's Venom again, he has to find out the secret again. The two things Marvel needs to do at Rebirth. Eddie finds out, okay, the marriage, but that's never going to happen. Ranger board. But not including the marriage, the other thing they need to do, both Norman and Venom need to find out the secret again. There should be no reason that only Doc Ock knows the secret, other than the fact that he's who, Dan Slott wants to be the main villain. Because it makes no sense for Venom not to know, because he bonded with him.
We've bonded.
Again, do you agree with me that the whole kind of red outline on Venom is weird? Looking back on it now in hindsight.
I'll pay attention when he shows up again in a few seconds here.
It's worse than the Carnage one because they add like a red spider on the wrist.
Yeah, he does kind of have like a red.
I think it's supposed to be. Is it supposed to be like the Emily in the red and blue costume?
Yeah, I think so because he does have like half of him is red, half of him is blue.
So maybe it's like the black suit based it off on the red and blue suit, so there's accents of it left over?
I guess so.
I love how they go over the origin of the Venom symbiote here. Again, just like the cover and stuff like that, I love the whole double talk with Venom. That's why when people say he's one of their favorite supervillains, I go, no, he's one of my favorite group of villains. Because it's the symbiote and whoever it's bonded to. They're a team called Venom.
I remember when I was a kid, just like playing with my action figures like on the floor, and I would always try to do Venom's voice, and I always gave myself a sore throat because I would be like, bleh, bleh, Spider-Man. Bleh.
That's the way he should have sounded in Spider-Man 3. I know we've been saying it a lot, but there's a lot of comparisons between this and Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, because this is where Spider-Man 3
Spider-Man 3, when he actually talked, it was just Topher Grace's face now. The only time we really get Venomisms is those screeches he had in that movie. I do love their way of how they symbol in this cartoon. It kind of got redundant in this episode. How they try to show that it can't set up as Spider-Man. Eddie Brock's gone. No, I'm not. And he starts fighting him again. He's like, why did you leave then? That's it. Eddie Brock joined the WWF. Gotta find Vince McMahon now. If you didn't know that, I noticed something. The book is by the Atlas Publishing Company, like Marvel in the 40s.
Oh, I didn't even notice that either.
It says Atlas on it. That has to be an Easter egg to that. I like how you're just able to call. This had to be the 90s. Yeah, I just wanted to address the weights that you sent to me. Yeah, my name's Henry Brock. Totally give me my information, including credit card numbers.
It was the 90s. It was a different time, I guess.
They said there's a little bit of wolf in him, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, he picked up this weird stone when he was on the moon. We don't know what that's gonna. We don't know what that's gonna.
I'm surprised they never said Prometheum X was the man wolf thing. Like when it changed and it became like regular lead, you could say that okay, John Jameson got his hands on it again, and it was actually the Moonstone that turns him into man wolf. But maybe it's because oh my god, Fox Kids didn't want a werewolf, even though we got fucking Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with monsters every goddamn week, including wolf ones. The censorship on this show was so hypocritical. There was shit that Power Rangers at the same time was getting away with, like applied death that this cartoon could never get away with.
I always love this moment where he's in the alley, he's changing, and then all of a sudden there's Brock up there, and it's like, holy crap.
Because I like it too, because 300 has that moment too where Peter says, I don't got the spider sense, but I feel like I'm being watched. And you notice that everybody in the crowd, there's that one guy who's Eddie who keeps on changing the clothes to look like different people. I love it when the people are like, look, there's Spider-Man, and... Wait, okay, what the fuck's going on now? Oh, wait, it wasn't the Carnage. He has that there, too. What's the whole deal with that whole, like, wrist tattoo spider that's on Venom? Get it because he's a real fan and no more puns. Oh, the 90s. I just love this. This is the reason why I love Venom. This is cartoon. This is weird for Venom because he never, unless it was an alternate continuity, never went after Aunt May or Mary Jane because in his mind they were always innocent. It was just like in Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think this show was just trying to take a different approach with that.
I'd probably just to tell kids he is evil, probably. I get it. And then Jonah wants to take this camera. Wait, wrong continuity again. Damn it. He wants to take the camera from a little kid like he did in Spider 3.
Films extra.
It is the Sony movies. He just lost his mask.
I love that guy just puts it on. It's like, I'm Spider-Man. I don't care.
Meanwhile, people are dying probably on that rooftop. Oh, you kind of look like Peter Parker. There's a really blurry one of him. But I don't know who you are. Then you're going to have to wear a cloth version of me after Kingpin to get your Aunt May shot. And then you're going to have to make a deal with Mephisto over Mary Jane. But we're not married in this continuity. Damn it, you ruined my plan, Spider-Man. Even though I was trying to get into, what's her name again? The blonde chick, Gwen? Or was it Carly? Or was it Deb Whitman? What's her name again? Oh yeah, Felicia Hardy. Even though I tried to get in her pants too. I hope John wants to clarify. I hope he knows I was joking around how many blonde girlfriends Spider-Man has had over the years, right? I hope you know that I was being sarcastic, joking around there. I just want you to know.
Yes, James, I was able to figure that one out.
Can I just imagine Peter be like a jerk? Hey, you can't do nothing to Mary Jane, the woman I love. Even though I tried to get with that other blonde chick, Gwen or Stacy or whatever the fuck her name was.
This is so freaking creepy that Eddie just...
I love it because Eddie has done this in the comics with, like, Aunt May.
I know.
But they adapted it here with Mary Jane. And it's better with Mary Jane.
But it's so freaking creepy.
Here's the weird thing I always found. Mary Jane's from Pittsburgh, but yet she's wearing cowboy boots and talks in a southern accent. Again, all he has to say is the guy's a creep.
He actually just said Brock's a weirdo, okay?
No, but she doesn't buy it. I'm like, if I would explain to her, I'm like, trust me, he's not a friend of mine. He's actually a pretty creepo who's like stalking me. See?
Then just do as I say.
And
Don't
take the
ask.
deal with Mephisto. I will say though, I did read like the preview art from the Free Comic Book Day issue, and I do like it that Chips is on Zelensky already clarified, and you do see it. What he meant by is him and his ex-girlfriend, I guess, are pretty close, still friends with each other, and you see that in the preview art where they're like just chilling, having a burger together, and she's making fun of the fact that he got a stain on her. And she goes, "That's a big mistake." And as a joke back, he goes, "Yeah. You mean not breaking up with you?" Oh, that Peter. That was actually a pretty good scene. It's like, oh, that's what I want to see out of Peter and Mary Jane, not them bitching at each other, just like Slott was writing. And again, I forgot they did adapt the moment Aunt May. That's good. He did it with both Mary Jane and Aunt May. Because that's one of my favorite panels. I think it's in the Larson run where he's artist. Is where like Brock comes over and it's like doing the laundry with Aunt May.
It's so freaking like it's terrifying.
Because I like it, it's the tension of you don't know if he's going to snap May's neck. This was before the whole Leaf or Protector where you knew that he would never harm a little old lady. And I love Spider-Man just being a troll and dick. The Bugle had a front page headline about them firing Eddie, so Peter's like, bought every fucking copy and taped it on his wall.
Don't you know, James? This Spider-Man plays for keeps.
I just love it too. I'm going to antagonize the dick that can't have my spider sense who has a jaw who wants to eat my brains. And again, it's another pun. Because it's the 90s and it's a Fox Kids show. It's just so hilarious hearing Venom with these puns all cartoon long. I like it because it's kind of like an evil Spider-Man, quipping at, him. Didn't the video game do this too? Like a level that was based on this? Like the PlayStation 1 game, I don't know if you ever played it, but I remember a train level. And I want to say Venom was in it.
I've never played the PlayStation 1 game, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, it's a classic. If you ever get a chance to on a PlayStation 1 to play it, it's good. I like to look at it as that video game's the finale of the TV show.
I've always loved this chase sequence. I've always just thought it was. I remember rewatching it over and over as a kid, just loving it.
I just love how Eddie Brock changes out of the costume, gets into the truck, and he rebonds with the symbiote.
I love this. I love this.
I just love this Venom. Dude, seriously, Eddie Brock's in the symbiote again. He should be doing this shit all the time. This randomly on a base of Spectacular Spider-Man issue 1 should have a random scene of Peter just walking around the city. All of a sudden, here's a hunk of a horn and it's Venom and Eddie Brock in it. Finally, I just landed a barbed wire. I love how they actually have it make sense on like all the Marvel comics where Reed Richards, John James in issue 1, all the astronauts, they shot off from New York City, which if anybody knows, they would never hit the moon. There's a reason why, it's down south, all, the astronaut stuff. Because logistics of where the actual fucking moon is in a rocket. You can't turn in space. Literally, he breaks blades of... Okay, there it is, the break. It should have been broken like in 2 seconds. But I know it could have been worse. Peter could just throw a pumpkin bomb at him and vaporize them. I know it's wrong continuity, but fuck you.
You tricked us! And so what's his brilliant plan? Just web it to the rocket and hope it sticks.
Well, I get his plan is to bring it back into space because the Venom symbiote says it goes from planet to planet to bond with people. So in Peter's eyes, it's Mars's problem. In one episode.
Until season 3.
This background music where they got Peter and Mary Jane together is whenever I read a comic and it's actually them written well together. This is what I hear in my head.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for the alien costume 3-parter. So, James...
Literally, he's him with the whole Parker guilt and everything. He's not going to bring the fact that I tried to ask out, Black Cat. No, really, Peter, you're not going to bring her police already? Nope, okay. Go back to making out with Mary Jane on the couch. Oh, wait, you can't make out with her because it's Fox Kids. You just got to hug her and hold her close to you.
Anyway, James, what'd you think of the alien costume saga?
It doesn't have its moments, but look at any goddamn cartoon or TV show from this time period. It was the 90s. It was the king of cheese when it came on TV, especially for kids. It's action, though. It's powerful. It's puns. It's good. I can't say it's the first season of, in my opinion, still the best Spider-Man cartoon ever made. With Spectacular, a close number, like a very super close number 2.
Yeah, it's like...
Ultimate is last.
I love the 90s Spider-Man show, and I love this alien costume saga. It's really well done. It reinvented Venom, and it's got so much good stuff in it.
Like I said, I have said this I said this before in past episodes, like when we did our other audio commentaries for these episodes, when I read a Batman comic, and I hear voices in my head, not crazy, but when you're reading the comic and you're imagining what these voices sound like, for Batman, I hear the 90s Fox Kid Batman animated series, which is one of the greatest animated cartoons of all time. And for Spider-Man, I hear these voices. I think I brought this up before. When I read Carly Cooper, my brain immediately said, Deb Whitman's not around no more. So Deb Whitman's voice became Carly Cooper's in my head. And maybe that's why I found Carly even more annoying, because Deb Whitman's voice, in my opinion, was annoying in this cartoon. Flash!
But yeah, so... that's going to do it for the commentaries, and that's also going to do it for this episode of the podcast. We don't really have anything else to talk about. So, James, any final shout-outs or words for the listeners before we sign off?
Just for my phone, I'm awesome. I love it. Shout-outs to Sprint and to Samsung. I love my phone to death. Shout-out to my parents, because next week's their anniversary, and our next episode, I think, is after the anniversary. So, shout-out to them, because their anniversary's next week, so shout-out to my parents, even though they're probably never going to watch this. I took them out tonight since I was off of work. I said, hey, do you guys want to go out for dinner tonight? And took them to Ruffalo's Italian restaurant. That's a few blocks away from my house, and, we had a good time. So, yeah, that's about it. So I have anniversary mom and dad and my phone. So, John, what are we doing next week?
Well, next week, kind of more of the same, but not really. We're still doing a commentary.
We're still doing the origin of the Black Suit and Venom.
But it's Spider-Man 3, ladies and gentlemen. So get ready. Because the thing is, I've actually been planning this for months, because 3 months ago...
He just told me a week ago, and I got really giddy, because Spider-Man 3 is almost like what I would describe to me as what I just described the Ben Reilly comic. So bad, it's good.
And the thing is, next week is the 10th anniversary of that movie's release, and so I figure, if there's any time to do a commentary, it's next week. So we're...
Get ready for a really awesome commentary with that one, guys, because... This was happening that one came out when I was junior in high school. So I have a lot of nostalgic memories. So get ready to hear me sing the summer of '69, but actually about the summer of '07, because it's going to make me feel so goddamn old, because I'm going to be like, oh, I just remember when I was in high school hanging out with the guys and this movie was coming out. and now I haven't hanged out with those guys in 10 years. Fuck my life.
I was 10 years old when it came out. I was in
I
fourth grade.
was 16, 17-year-old in high school. I got a lot of great memories in my life, about this movie. Like, I remember, I told John, I saw Spider-Man 3, 3 times opening day with friends, and that was because it was just me going with different sets of friends and my girlfriend Cassidy at the time. So it was it wasn't one girl in my school said, "Oh, you're really a nerd. You went to see the same movie 3 times opening day." But it literally wasn't my choice. I literally went to the midnight, not the midnight, but the kind of midnight, the 7, 8, 10 o'clock, whatever showing that would be, with my family. Then the next day, I went to an after because we had a half day at school, and I went to go see my group of friends. And then later that night, I went out with my girlfriend, and she's like, "I want to go see a movie," and I immediately said Spider-Man.
Yes, so Spider-Man 3, ladies and gentlemen. But my shout-outs this week, Marvel, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, John Semper, Christopher Daniel Barnes, all of them. Thank you for Spider-Man. Thank you for the cartoon and everything. Other shout-outs, we are recording this on Friday, April 28th. You won't see this until tomorrow. But April 28th, today is National Superhero Day. So, happy National Superhero Day, everyone. Yay!
Why didn't they have Free Comic Day today then?
Because they always do it, first Saturday in May. But yes, so shout out to National Superhero Day. Other shout outs, I got nothing for you. So yeah, well, since James did his phone, I'll do mine. Verizon and my iPhone, which is actually over there. But so thank you to Verizon and Apple for my iPhone. Yeah, that's going to do it for this episode.
Get ready, people, because just remember, just like in our movie we're going to see next week, our fans, we love you. We can't do the show without you guys. And you are my single fire. And the only resolution and the only joy is the fate spark of forgiveness in your eyes. Lyrics from the song for Spider-Man 3.
All right, but
I had that soundtrack and I played those songs a lot.
All right, so thank you all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week.